Riding in Afghanistan is like nothing else in the world. It's hot, it's dusty, you're in layers and layers of clothing, and yet you're surrounded by these epic mountains. It's incredibly beautiful, but obviously also dangerous. For the past 7 years, I've been working in Afghanistan on a variety of projects focused on women's rights and access for girls. But in 2009, I became the first woman to mountain bike in Afghanistan. And at the time, there were no women that I could find anywhere. I asked in every village and every city that I rode bikes in if their daughters, their wives, their sisters could ride, and the answer was always no. It was just not proper. They were okay with me riding a bike because I was a foreigner, but that it was just not acceptable for their women. Since 2009, essentially for the past 5 years, I've been trying to find girls on bikes, and up until recently, have had no success. My name is Shannon Galpin, and I'm the founder of Mountain to Mountain. Mountain to Mountain is a nonprofit that works with women and girls in conflict zones. And right now, the majority of our work is focused on women and girls on bikes in Afghanistan. So in the fall of 2012, I found the men's national cycling team and had a meeting with one of the members who told me there were girls who were riding bikes. So I immediately went to meet with the coach and found out that there were young girls that were college age starting to ride bikes, starting to learn how to pedal, and that there was full support from their families and their community. These were the first girls I'd ever heard of riding bikes in Afghanistan. And after 5 years of riding my own bike there, it was amazing to see this change happening in Afghanistan. Riding bikes for girls is one of the most deep-seated taboos that's left in Afghanistan. And it comes back to the idea that riding a bike is controversial. Straddling a bike seat is provocative and immoral. And it's really important to remember the risks that these girls put themselves in. They have been slingshotted, rocks are thrown at them, they're insulted, their families are insulted. While these girls are aware that they are pushing on this boundary, they're not doing it to be revolutionary, they're simply riding a bike because they feel they have the right to. When Liv heard about the work that I was doing and heard about the team, they leapt in. So far, Liv has supplied us with over 50 racing bikes, equipment, clothing, and they are also pledging their support for the upcoming years. Most importantly, they have really stood behind the mission. They are looking at the fact that these girls are not just racers. It's not about competing. It's about how do you use the bike to create change. And these girls in Afghanistan are proving with every pedal stroke that change is possible. I got into this work primarily because I wanted to work with women and girls in countries where they had little or no voice. And Afghanistan is a country that had been repeatedly ranked the worst place in the world to be a woman. And so it's where I decided to start. Being able to work with these girls in Afghanistan is so inspiring because they literally are risking their lives for the joy of riding a bike. And now what's happening very organically is that these girls are kind of sparking a revolution. And now we see more and more girls riding bikes in other areas of the country, completely unaware that there even is a national team, but that someone has ridden a bike and they've seen that girl riding and it just has kind of organically spread. I think that what is really important is that this is an Afghan-led program. These girls voluntarily decided to push on these boundaries and are doing so daily with their family's support, with the coach's support. And so my role as a foreign woman is not to take over the program, but to simply empower them, to bring them equipment, bring them coaching, training, anything I can do to support. And that's where Liv has been instrumental as well, in supporting their program and allowing it to grow organically. One of the girls that rides with the team is Miriam. She's, I think, the best symbol of the team in that she's incredibly strong, but has this huge heart. And she, more than anything, believes that this is her right and that nobody can take it away from her. So when she gets on the bike, she rides knowing that she's pushing these boundaries because she loves the freedom that the bike gives her. And she comes back to that over and over, that the bike equals freedom. My work with these girls is really focused on how bikes can be used as a vehicle for social justice, not necessarily racing. But through the sport of cycling, these girls are going to normalize bikes for the rest of the country, enabling young girls to go to school on bikes, midwives to use bikes to access rural communities. Bikes literally can change lives. These girls inspire me to step outside my own boundaries, to remember that pedaling a bike is a freedom, and that feeling of freedom that we all get when we ride bikes is at the core of creating change, is at the core of women's rights. And so for me and the work that I do with these women, it constantly comes back to freedom. I'm Shannon Galpin, and I live beyond.